I'm going to try to shoot this outside on my deck today. If the camera shakes a little bit, it's because it's a little bit windy, but not like it's been in the past. But I just wanted to give you guys a little bit different scenery. Normally I'm shooting it inside, so I want to give you a little bit different look. If I'm squinting, I'm sorry, I probably should have grabbed my shades, but what the heck, here we are. Today I'm just going to kind of freewheel it a little bit, and I'm doing it because of a couple of different things, but I want to talk about character, humility, and doing the right thing. And when I think about character, I always say that character is something that it can't be self-professed. In other words, I can never say I'm a man of character, I'm a man of integrity, because that can't be self-professed. That is a gift that someone gives you, and and when people tell you that, you should feel really good about yourself, because it means that you do things that are noble, that you do things that are right, you do things that show compassion and love, and all the things that are encompassed in the Bible. And so anyway, those are good things those are good qualities to try to have. When I think about character, I think about my twin brother. Most of you know I have an identical twin, and we were very competitive our entire lives, and to the point where literally when we were little boys riding the school bus, we would get off the bus and we would race. Our driveway was about 120 yards long, and every single day, we would race from the end of the driveway to the front step. And it didn't matter if you were carrying books or not. Like, we'd be ready, set, go, like little boys do. And either I would say or he would say, "Hey, I'm carrying books, no fair." And you'd lean over your shoulder and you'd say, "Tough shit, drop the books," right? I mean, that's how we were. That's how competitive we were. We both played professional racquetball on the court. I mean, literally, there were times when we would almost be in fistfights because we're that competitive, right? It's winners like to win, so I never apologize for that competitive passion that I've had in my entire life. But I want to talk about my twin brother in another light. When we were in our early 20s, I had an opportunity to turn around a failing health club, and you guys know that about me. I've talked about it in my podcast and on my Instagram. But I want to share something with you about my twin brother that tells you a lot about his character. When we were both in our early 20s, I was running the health club, and he was trying to figure out what it is that he wanted to do. So he decided that he was going to open a shoe store, an athletic shoe store, similar to a Foot Locker, if you will. And he had no experience in doing this, none whatsoever, other than the fact that we both wore athletic shoes and tennis shoes through our racquetball careers and going to school, right? That was the only experience he ever had. I remember he and I went to a shoe convention that was in Minneapolis, and I remember we're walking around there, and we didn't have any, there was no store open, and we would walk into these booths like Adidas and Nike and Puma and Reebok at the time, and we'd say, and he would say, "Yeah, I'm going to open a shoe store." And barely, if the people could have laughed at him, they would have, right? But we stood there, and this is something that I say we, because if he's doing it, I'm supporting him. I'm part of it. So it's we. It's almost like a marriage. You're in it together, right? So he did it. We go back to the same town where I was running this health club, and he opens a shoe store, and he called it Athletic Fitters. And to make a long story short, he builds this one store, and it goes so, and he adds another store, and things start picking up. The momentum starts picking up. He opens a third store, a little bit more momentum, a little more traction, a little more cash flow, and he's working his ass off like we both were, And to make a long story short, he took that idea of, I want to own a shoe store, which was the Athletic Fitters, and he built it to 104 stores, and ended up selling it to Foot Locker. About 10 years later for about 35 to 40 million. I forget the exact number. 35 to 40 million. So imagine you're in your low 30s, you've got 35, 40 million in your bank account. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. Now I want to take you back to the days of racing at the end of our driveway to the front doorstep. One thing that I really appreciate about my twin brother and I'm so proud of him. When you talk about a man of integrity and a man of character, he never once made me feel less than. He knew that I was working for nothing in the fitness business. He knew that I was just trying to turn it around. So at the time, I was probably making $60,000 a year. But what I love about him is, there's many things, but what I particularly love about is he never once made me feel less than. He never once rubbed my face in the success that he had, which is just shows, you know, great humility towards me and everyone around him. So I really appreciate that about him, and I share that with you because it was the right thing to do for him. It was, you know, it came natural for him, but we talk about it all the time. You know what? When God blesses you, be thankful and count your blessings and thank God for it, which I know that he did. I want to transition now to a story that happened last night that I had a front row seat to. And I always say, you know, in the Bible it says those that have been given a lot is expected of them. And I truly try to live by that, and which is why I've said for the next 50 years or whatever more of my life, I intend to focus on my philanthropy. I intend to focus on helping other young, aspiring entrepreneurs, and that's what I've done. All the podcasts that I do free of charge. Anything that I'm paid through corporate America, they make it out to my foundation, and I give it to charity. These are all things that you know. But I want to talk particularly about last night. So last night, some friends and I, we were going to go to this barbecue place up the road, and it was kind of a last minute put together. Let's go, let's work out, and we're going to go have barbecue. And so we did. We hop in this SUV, and I'm riding shotgun. I'm in the front seat, and we're driving to the barbecue place, which is not far from where we live. And when I stepped in, I noticed that there was a Bible on the armrest of the SUV, which I was encouraged because I always love to see other people in their walk with God, and I knew that she was a Christian. And anyways, we're driving. I'm making small talk. Those of you who know me, I always try to introduce myself, and I try to make some small talk and make people feel comfortable around me. And because, not to get off on track, because that's what the Bible says to do. The Bible says to love, right? To love, and to make people feel comfortable, and to give them peace where you can. Anyway, as we're driving, I noticed her chin started to quiver. And I could see that she was struggling just to keep it together. So I put my hand on her shoulder and I said, "Hey, how are you? What's going on?" And she says, my brother died 3 days ago. And so anyway, everyone in the car, we felt really bad for her. And I asked her about her brother, and we said that, look, your brother's in a better place. And believe in that. And he's so proud of you, of how you're keeping it together and you're out here working. So tell me about your family. So she starts to share with us her family. And I asked her about the funeral. When is it? I didn't know if it had already taken place or going to happen. And she said that it's going to take place in a few days. So I was asking, and when I talk about the only reason I'm sharing this story has absolutely nothing to do about me. It has nothing to do about me at all. I simply happened to be there. God put me in that vehicle that time. We could have gotten any Uber. I could have sat in any seat in the vehicle. He put me in the front seat, and he put me right next to her, and he had me look at her to see her chin quiver, to bring thought-provoking questions from me. I could see that she was hurting, and I wanted to help. So through the dialogue, we was talking about the funeral and the wake and these things, and I'm asking her how many people are at the wake, and are you prepared? It's the family in town, because she was from Brazil, I believe. And she could barely talk. She was literally crying. She had to pull over. She was crying so hard. And so God told me, so I reach into my pocket and I pull out $400 and I put it in her ashtray, because I asked her how many people will be attending the funeral, but she couldn't respond. So I put $400 in her ashtray. She hadn't noticed yet, and then eventually she did. We all felt so bad for her, and we all our hearts all hurt. And we get to the restaurant and we're getting ready to leave, and she's saying, "Thank you so much." And I'm getting ready to step out of the vehicle, and God says, "Peter, you're not done yet. You're not done." So I tell my friends, "Hey, give me a few minutes." So I let them leave the vehicle and ask her more just about her family and whatnot. And I said, "Look," her name was Carla, and I said, "Carla, just be honest with me, because we're friends, and you know, I want to help you. So tell me about the funeral." And you know, they didn't have the money for the funeral or whatnot. So God told me to pay for the funeral for her. So I got her information and I Venmo'd the money for the funeral. And once again, you guys, I had absolutely nothing to do with it. And I told her that. She started crying again, and I said, don't thank me. I'm simply the messenger in this story. I'm the messenger. I'm here for a reason. This is not coincidence. This is not happenstance. I'm here for a reason. And I'm so blessed to have heard your story, and to be able to empathize with you, and to tell you that your brother is so proud of you and he loves you so much. So I guess at the end of the day, you guys, you know, some people say, "Oh, coincidence, happenstance." And I tell every day, you know, we start with a Bible study. Those of you that follow me, and you understand that, look, you know what? Life is short. Compassion is sweet. When you hear that little voice, it's not your conscience, right? It's God telling you to do the right thing, and listen to that voice when it happens. So I don't know if the story was worth sharing or not, but I want you to know that it had a profound effect on me and everyone in the vehicle, and clearly it still does for me. When I got home, her family called me several times at night. Her grandmother, I mean, everyone in her family tree called me to thank me. And my answer every time was, "I appreciate the call, but I had nothing to do with it." And that is the honest to God truth. So at the end of the day, find God, look to him every day. He's never left you. He's at your side, and listen to what he tells you. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this story. It was really personal for me. It has nothing to do with business. It has to do with people. And you know, I feel so fortunate to be in a place to do those kind of things. So anyway, everybody, take care. God bless.